Big M is with the Donald, and that's what matters. And you can see and feel that it's going Trump's way. And he's not deviating. We've heard no recent talk of eating cats and dogs or things like that. I honestly, hand on heart, believe, I'm 90% certain he will win.
Donald Trump's going to win. He's going to win. I know that that's true.
I think Kamala's going to win.
Kamala's going to win.
It's because I think it's a Taylor Swift vote.
Okay.
Swifties,
they're powerful.
Typically, when the youth votes, the Democrats tend to win.
Bitcoin's going to go up if Harris wins.
It's a big week this week because in less than 7 days, everything will change forever in crypto. It's the talk of the town right now. Who will win the election and how will that affect this bull run? Will it be following the same patterns as always, or will one candidate winning over the other have something to do with whether or not we see an all-time high right away, or if Bitcoin takes a breather and possibly ends for the rest of the cycle? I will answer that question and so much more in this stream. Blackrock just had $875 million in inflows, the biggest in one day, in the most successful ETF ever, the Bitcoin ETF. And Bitcoin ETFs now hold over a million Bitcoin. It's massive. Things are heating up and people are wondering, is this going to tip the scale, or will we have the same bull run as always, following that 4-year cycle and peaking in about a year from now? Now, the videos I showed you in the beginning show mixed opinions. It seems to be that the most obvious vote at this moment, at least from the perspective of the crypto world and also the outside world, is that Trump has the biggest shot at winning. However, when you talk to people who are more involved in the VC scape and the investor side, it seems that they have a bit of a contrarian opinion. Now, let's go over those videos one by one to kind of like dig into what exactly they think and why. And after that, I'll show you how past elections have played out on the charts, what we're looking at as far as indicators right now, and why some analysts believe this bull run could end very, very soon. We're talking Q1 of next year, and why some believe we have 1 year of prosperity minimum. And I'll tell you what I think at the end of the episode. And not only that, but the burning question on everyone's mind: what will happen if Kamala wins? Now, the interesting part of this is that if Kamala wins, from a traditional investor standpoint, it could be a sign of safety because less is likely to change as the current administration continues and the Democrats stay in power, and that is one side of thinking. Now, if Trump wins, it's a bit less predictable. That could shake up markets, yet Bitcoin is clearly loving Trump. Crypto clearly wants Trump to win, and their thought process is that if he wins, this will be a larger-than-life bull run. Then we're faced with the same question again. Will we get the same results just on a different time frame if either one of them wins? Let's dig into this and more. I'm your host, Megan Nelson, aka Crypto Megan. And guys, happy Halloween. I got my pumpkin there, my jack-o'-lantern in the background. I'm celebrating here in Spain. Let me know where you're tuning in from if you're celebrating Halloween. And also, let me know who you think is going to win the election and who you want to win the election and why. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Honestly, hand on heart, believe, I'm 90% certain he will win.
So let's talk about the closing here, right? Harris has gone from vibes to he's a Nazi, all right? I like that Trump has gone from dogs and cats to she broke it, I'll fix it. It needs to be that clear. But the X factor around all of this is, of course, that extraordinary Joe Rogan interview between YouTube and available now on Twitter. 42.5 million people have watched it. So if you want to get an insight into how does he talk, how does he think, make your decision whether you like it or not, that is an extraordinary amount of people to get to in a weekend. And this only came out on Friday.
Now, I'd like to make a point about this because you'll see, as Yatsu said, we're living in a Swiftie world, that mainstream media seems to no longer be the most influential player in the elections anymore, yet it's social media, it's news sites it's podcasts, it's sites like X, the people's power, actually. And so Donald Trump just did an interview with Joe Rogan, broke the internet, Over 40 million people watched it. And on the other hand, we've got Yatsu saying we live in a Swiftie world, and Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala, and that's what's going to make the difference. People like her. So honestly, it's a very interesting time indeed. This analyst, just like many analysts, seem to be completely convinced that Trump will win, and that it's the big M is on everybody's minds at all the dinner tables. I'm not exactly sure what he even means by that. I'm assuming MAGA. But yeah, very, very confident that he'll win. Of course, we had Tucker Carlson, who is basically saying that Trump will win because he's just a more likable, more genuine guy who cares more about the people. Okay. And then we have Yatsu. That's a friend of mine. He's the co-founder of Animoca Brands, very brilliant mind. And he is from the venture capital background, investor background, and just a macro thinker in general. And he's convinced that Kamala will win. And this really caught my attention. Like, what if she does win and catches everybody completely off guard? What then?
Who do you think is going to win?
I think Kamala's going to win.
Kamala's going to
win. And the reason why, by the way, I know in crypto it's not a popular opinion, and I also completely appreciate that. Of course, if Trump wins, it's going to be definitely parabolic for our industry. Yeah. I think it's because I think it's a Taylor Swift vote.
Okay. Swifties, they're powerful.
Well, one of the biggest challenges you have with election is registration.
Yeah.
And when the youth votes, the Democrats tend to win. Right. In fact, I think historically it's always been the case, at least within our living memory. So that means actually, her activating her voter base, and we know the margins are very, very small. Is that if the youth decides, because the Swifties, basically Taylor got people to go there, then I think that'll tip it. If there's any celebrity in the world that could do that, it would be her.
Yeah. Okay, so this is really interesting because Yatsu focuses a lot on the younger generation, as they're going to be the ones that determine our future, right? And so they make their investments based on those theses. They love gaming because they believe that the younger generation learns and loves games, and that's how adoption will happen for crypto. So now he's saying that the younger people are going to vote, and they're more likely to vote Democratic. In fact, in one of the podcasts with me, he actually said that the left side, socialism is basically a political platform for them because they feel they've been left behind by the traditional monetary system, and that voting left and voting for the Democratic Party will help them be more equal. So we've had so many discussions on this, and he, by the way, believes that's an erroneous thought process, and that they think that way because there's not a lot of financial literacy in the U.S. It's very interesting, right? Will the Swifties win out and actually tip this election? And then what will happen? He also goes on to say, well, if Trump wins, it's going to be a parabolic rally and it's going to be great for our crypto world. But nobody's discussing, what if Kamala wins? What if that happens? Then what next? And we're about to get into that. First, let's get into another investor profile that believes that Kamala will win and the master plan behind it.
Invest in things unless they know it's getting 20x. Bitcoin's going to go up if Harris wins. The first thing that's going to happen is it's going to go down because people are going to panic, sell. Oh my God, Trump didn't win. This is a shot. And then you'll see BlackRock accumulating more. When they're accumulating, you should be accumulating.
Powerful. That actually got me thinking. So if Kamala wins, spoiler alert, I was going to say this at the end, but I'll say it now, okay? I believe that no matter what, this election is going to be good for crypto. It's just how good and how fast, right? Right now we're at a tipping point, an inflection point in the charts. We're just below the all-time high, looking like we're about to break it. Perfect spot for a bear trap, right? Swing down to the lows, make everybody afraid after Kamala wins, if she does win, and that pans out exactly what he's saying is going to pan out, that maybe BlackRock then continues to accumulate and people carry on. Like I said, there are 1 million Bitcoin in the ETFs now. That's not going anywhere just because Kamala wins. So then if that does happen, then maybe we'll have a little bit longer, more extended bull run, as we won't go shooting through all-time highs as is projected if Trump wins. But we're going to have to take a look at more charts to see just exactly where we are in that regard. Trump is pulling out everything in the book. He'll ban CBDCs. He'll fire Gary Gensler from day one. And now he's saying Bitcoin is money and you have to pay capital gains tax if you use it to buy coffee. I was talking with a friend and he said it really shouldn't be taxed. And I agree. He's just saying all the most bullish things in the book, a strategic reserve currency. He launched his own coin that he raised about, I think it was 13 million in the end. And to top it off, Trump's VP, JD Vance, who I actually kind of really like, by the way, is one of the top 5 holders of Avalanche, AVAX. Isn't that wild? I'll do a whole nother video just on this because AVAX is in my portfolio for this bull run. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on things that Blackrock and all the big guys are more prone to look at. So that's for another video, but they are crypto holders. They're crypto believers for the most part, to the extent that they understand. Probably JD Vance a little bit more than Trump. And they're massively involved. So if they win, it's a no-brainer that this industry will flourish. If Kamala wins, there's going to be some uncertainty, hence a temporary lull that may be a good time to take advantage. So the charts actually reflect that. Let's have a look. The last 3 bull markets topped in either November or December, 1 year after the presidential election. That also coincides with Plan B's stock to flow. The inventor stock to flow said that the best time to buy Bitcoin is 6 months before the halving and sell it 18 months after. 18 months after the halving lands us right in October of 2025. So November 2012 election, November 2013 was a market top. The same in 2016, December 2017 market top. And the last election, 2020, November 2021 market top. Admittedly, the last cycle top was a little different with the double top. That said, the year after the election itself was bullish, leading to the market topping a year later. Is this data meaningless, or is history going to repeat? Now, no data is really meaningless, right? It gives us an idea of what's been happening and what we could possibly start to assume and what we could possibly start to look to when we're finding confluence, my favorite word in trading. Next up, Max BTC. My own political views aside, Bitcoin clearly likes Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris. As soon as Trump has started to pull away via polymarket odds, Bitcoin has started to move higher. Polymarket odds currently have Trump victory priced in at 60%. So that's what I'm thinking. If we're rallying now, and Bitcoin's rallying now, based off the polymarket polls, that's primarily crypto native. And all crypto native people are in their bubble, and they think that Bitcoin is clearly, that Trump is clearly in the lead because that's all we hear, that's all we're promoting. It seems to be a little one-sided, and that's why I don't rule out the possibility that Kamala could surprise everyone, although that, in all honesty, is not what I want crypto to flourish, right? I'm a single issue voter. So, yeah, I think it has a possibility of happening. Now let's have a look at this. Bitcoin election year pump will start very soon in Q4. In 2012, it did 100x after the US election. Wow, that would have been nice, huh? 2016 pumped 28x after the US election, 2020 5.5x. So clearly diminishing returns as we get higher in price. Right now, the US election is just 4 weeks away. So this was done a while back. It's less than a week now, guys. And 5.5 is the last one. I mean, maybe based on the stats, we only get, a double from here. Bitcoin, even if it doubles from here, that would put it around 140,000, which is phenomenal. So it's not bad at all in this chart. I mean, clearly all roads point to we will have a bull run, that we haven't peaked out for the cycle like some traders are saying, although they're not the majority. And let's continue. The election between Trump and Harris essentially represents a competition between different capital interests. Recently, the significant inflows of funds into Bitcoin ETFs is driven by the logic that the capital behind Trump believes he will be elected and his policy strategies will favor Bitcoin. In addition to Wall Street capital, Trump has also a large base of voters. Therefore, if Trump is elected, this round of Bitcoin's price increase is likely to be driven by 2 groups of capital. Currently, institutional investors are the main players. Okay. So this is one take on it. But actually, then you had the other take by the 2 VC side of things that said, actually, they are hoping probably for a dip. And then you have the VC side of things that thinks that Kamala could potentially win. And we could potentially have a shakeout from people panic selling as we continue on as usual after that, although it could take us quite a bit longer to recover. So I'm of the camp that Blackrock is buying Bitcoin in the hundreds of millions. They're receiving inflows for their Bitcoin ETF. This is going to be bullish either way. And then you've got people like Chris Larson from Ripple sending Kamala millions of dollars in XRP. What does XRP know that we don't? And why is XRP sending that to Kamala? Clearly, it's not only that, I don't even think it's that they want Kamala to win. It's potentially that they're pricing in that she will, right? And that's banks, big money, investors, they're all thinking that Kamala will win, while the crypto markets are betting that that Trump will win, essentially. So who's right in this case? It'll be very interesting to see. Here's another analysis. Trump versus Kamala. Whatever happens is awesome for Bitcoin. Same. Here's a breakdown of two scenarios. Good scenario if Trump wins. Pro-business approach. Lower regulation on crypto encourages innovation, institutional investment. Strong dollar policy may attract global investors to both the dollar and Bitcoin, reducing inflation. Crypto-friendly tone could support blockchain tech. In other words, he might let it rip, just like Clinton did with the internet, and that would be such a fun day to see. Best scenario if Kamala wins. Panic buyers' response. Concerns over inflation and economic stability drive Bitcoin. Now, I find that a little bit less likely that people are going to panic buy Bitcoin because Kamala wins because they need somewhere to, fight inflation. I mean, it's a bull market now. The Fed is lowering rates. There's rate cuts. I mean, there's so many reasons why liquidity is coming back into the market. I just don't see that happening. Store of value surge. Bitcoin adoption grows as a hedge against perceived fiat devaluation, fear-driven demand, faster widespread adoption fuel. So he's saying that the only reason Bitcoin will pump is if Kamala wins is that fear-driven inflation happens. I don't think so. I think, we're in a bull run because of macroeconomics, and the macroeconomics point to more stimulus, the Fed lowering rates, and money coming back into the system. And that's just it. It's that simple right now. But in the future, I do believe that these are going to be big reasons to buy Bitcoin. Area of Bitcoin Max again. We've seen this pattern before, and it's almost Bitcoin's turn to fly. It's all one big trade, and the flow of capital goes from big to small. When a multi-month or year consolidation break to the upside, a big move follows. So here he's comparing it to what has happened to gold, to Nvidia, to silver, and they've had similar consolidation periods. Here we have Bitcoin right around this point, and his chart shows Bitcoin just taking off to the upside. It looks like toward the end of November, and then rallying to all-time highs sometime next year. Rallying to all-time highs and then to 100,000 sometime next year. So really, really bullish however you cut it, but it's interesting to see how similar these charts are. Historic Bitcoin election cycles from 740 to 19,800, then 13,450 under the Biden administration to 69,000. So don't forget, Bitcoin did have a hell of a year under the Biden administration as well. And now in 2024, breaking all-time high at 73,620. History shows Bitcoin explodes after elections. With triple catalyst, presidential election, April halving, ETF inflows, 10 billion plus, we're seeing unprecedented institutional demand. Key levels support 28K, previous all-time high, 69K broken, target 100 to 150. Technical signs all aligned, volume surge, RSI momentum, weekly golden cross, perfect storm brewing. It's true that we're having a weekly golden cross, which is super bullish for Bitcoin, but there are also some indicators that show that it's not so certain, but they're more long-term indicators. So this is a pretty good, all in all, summary of what's happening right now. It's just a bullish time in the macro economy in general. So now I'm going to show you some charts from our group, Capital Mindset. And I've repeated this time and time again. Now is such an important time to learn how to trade, to take advantage of this massive altcoin season that is coming. We drop charts like this so you can keep an eye on Bitcoin, but we also give a lot of trading setups for altcoins that are about to pop. There's also a leverage channel, so you can go long, you can go short, and so many different setups to make a lot of money this bull run. So the link is in the description below, and we would love to have you on board. We are going to maximize all of the value that we give you in that group, so do have a look. So here we have Bitcoin on the 1 hour. We're currently consolidating a bit after hitting $72,832. And after crossing that threshold, and as you can see, we have support here on 70,000. If we can hold 70,000, that's very, very bullish. But if we don't, then these are the other levels of support, which is 66.8, 65, 64, and 63. So something to watch. Then we have the total three. If you don't remember, I'll throw up actually the YouTube thumbnail that I had. It was a circle right around here saying that the total three chart looks really good. It looks like it's ready to make a big move. And now here we are. We rallied all the way up to resistance at 640 billion. And the measured move off of the break of this neckline and inverted head and shoulders, which is a massively bullish pattern, and all this rounded bottom round bottoms pay the bills. As shows a breakup target of up to $780 billion for altcoins. Now, that's going to happen when Bitcoin settles down, when the surge stabilizes, and money will then flow into larger caps, mid caps, and low caps. So I'll keep you updated as to when that is going to happen. We have Ethereum here in an ascending triangle pattern. I am very bullish on Ethereum. I think so many people have slept on it, and that's why I love it as an asymmetrical bet for this cycle. I still hold a lot of ETH, and I believe it'll continue on into new all-time highs and beyond this cycle. So we have here key resistance at around 2,875 with a breakout target of 3,500. And if that happens, we're off to the races. Next up, this is the golden cross that the trader was referring to in the previous thread. And when we had this golden cross previously, which was after the death cross, 2020 and the C crash, the C word. We had a massive rally after that, and the rest was history. Will history repeat? That is the question. And then finally, a longer macro chart. I'd love to look at these charts to keep things in perspective, right? Here we are at local resistance, just building up, consolidating, chopping for months and months and months on end. This chart shows that we could break the all-time highs as soon as now or up to December. And then it shows that the cycle comes to an end in October 2025. More confluence that we've got a year of bull run after elections. And then as further proof that it doesn't matter who actually wins this election, it only matters for instant gratification, right? It matters in the long run because of innovation being stifled and bad, harsh crypto regulation and regulation by enforcement. And there are a lot of factors at play, but in the interim, like these following months, Bitcoin exchange reserves have just hit all-time lows, yet the demand has never been higher. A supply squeeze is incoming. I mean, look at this line. There's going to be some numbers here that astound you. Check this out. 875 million in a single day, what I talked about earlier, is the largest ever inflow. Saylor buying 42 billion of Bitcoin, almost double what the ETFs have brought in so far. And the multiples of market cap ahead has never been more obvious. It might be well timed to sell the house, lads, all in. I mean, yeah, these things are quietly happening in the background. Retail isn't here. They aren't noticing. I don't think they will notice until we cross a level like 90K or 100K because they're still not here. Where are they? Blackrock bought 8,820 Bitcoin and only 450 were mined. So as you can see, like the demand is outpacing the supply, and it's only a question of time as to when this starts to happen in a bigger way and really that's what what's baked into the halving is the supply shock. It's baked into every halving, and especially in this one, now that we have the Bitcoin ETFs and Wall Street and traditional finance can buy it in a big way. People are in disbelief that a Bitcoin bull market is possible after 7 months of sideways price action. That's just what it is. Retail's been burned. A lot has happened. It's a long, long time of chop. I mean, a lot of people don't make it. They get bored, they leave, they get burned, they walk away. The halving cycle theory has had November 28, 2024 written down as the start of the true bull market year since January 2023, almost 2 years ago. Now, this is interesting because that's my exact date as to when the bull run started. In January of 2023, that's where I believe we started this bull run, and this chart shows this as well. So this analyst believes that based on these charts, the November 2028 is the date to look out for and when things are really truly going to start to rip. So if that's the case, that could actually be signaling that the market's pricing in a Donald Trump win, but could be shaken out a little bit when Kamala, in fact, wins. Time will tell, only time will tell. 6 days now, and it's election time, and we'll be able to have more certainty. We'll get through it, and then we'll settle out, and we'll have an incredible bull run. That's just my opinion. And finally, Bitcoin ETFs now hold over 1 million Bitcoin, currently worth more than 72 billion. Things are looking bullish either way, whether we're living in a Swiftie world or a Joe Rogan world, and that's just the truth of it. I will keep you updated on when true altcoin season is going to start, and until then, it's on you to get ready. Don't get left behind. I'm going to make an ETH video tomorrow showing you just how undervalued ETH has been and how many YouTubers are suddenly flipping their tune now that ETH has had a nice little pump. And that's just going to be the beginning. And then we're going to see the explosion. So stay tuned for that. Have a very, very happy Halloween. Wonderful day. It's been a real pleasure with you. And I'll see you tomorrow.